pretty much everything that we do in Australia, compliance is an important aspect of it. Compliance basically means to follow the rules. There are different types of legislations and regulations that control social media marketing. In particular, Australian intellectual property law, which basically means you can't copy paste somebody else's work and say this is yours. Like, let's say Mauricio was doing an online campaign. Alex had drawn this beautiful art or had taken a picture of something, and Mauricio goes, "Oh, I like that. Copy, paste, put my writing on it. This is my ad campaign." So you can't steal other people's intellectual property. Competition law. So competition law is a really good one. In particular, it allows for fair competition in the marketplace. Consumer law. So Australian consumer law is great. Once again, it ensures that the end user, the consumer, doesn't get ripped off. Product liability, regulation, warranties, and guarantees. This one is also good and also comes under consumer law, if I remember correctly, or under the Competition and Consumer Act. What this one basically says is every product that is sold in Australia must come with a 1-year minimum warranty, and that's a manufacturer's warranty. You can't sell stuff in Australia without that 1-year warranty. It also ensures that the products that are being sold have a minimum quality level just by putting something like that in there. Environmental legislation. This one's a good one too. This is designed quite essentially to protect the environment. And if you think about this logically, depending on where you live, the environment's very different. So it can be adjusted. Like, let's say, for example, the laws which apply if you are in the northern tip of Australia, where it's warm, where it's sunny, where it's tropical, compared to if you're in the southern tip of Australia, like Tasmania, maybe you're in Hobart, where the climate's completely different. Now, regardless of where you are, the environmental legislation will protect the local environments. However, it might be applied differently. Privacy legislation, once again, really good. Everyone in Australia, regardless of whether they're citizens, whether they're on holiday, whether they're students, whether they are anyone, basically, anyone and everyone in Australia is protected under the privacy regulation. It's called the Privacy Act, and it gets updated on a fairly frequent basis. And lastly, code of practice. So code of practice is not legislation. Code of practice is a code or a way we're going to do something which is created by a group of people. For example, an industry can have their own code of practice. What's really interesting is in this particular space, you'll have the main industry leaders, right? So the main organizations that work in this industry, they'll come together and they'll say, hey, what should our code of practice be? What do we believe in? And the kind of things that they would work on could be social media code of conduct. So how do we engage with each other? E-marketing code of practice, or these things could lead to something like the Spam Act, which reduces how much, or should basically eliminate spam messaging altogether. So it's a really interesting space. Something to also consider is it's a combination of both legislation and regulations that's done by the government, as well as industry codes, as well as from an organizational perspective, their policies and procedures. You tie these three things together, and that ultimately is what protects the integrity of the profession, the rights of the consumer, and therefore allows for a sustainable business practice going forward. If you're wondering, do businesses get this right? The answer is not always, but the objective is to keep trying.